Yeah, well, Kenya shrugged, still typing. It's lit though. I already got like 2,000 views on my story just from posting the car ride over here. That's nice, baby. You should see the comments. Everybody's like, oh my god, your grandma's house is goals, and I can't believe Glow Nova is doing a whole party. Mom says this could be my big break. She's going to tag me in all her posts tonight. Kenya finally looked up, and for a moment, Mama Dot saw something familiar in her granddaughter's eyes. A hunger, a desperation to be seen, to matter, to count. Lord, Mama Dot thought, I raised a daughter who thinks her value is measured in views. Kenya, baby, can you bring me that folder from my office? The purple one on my desk. Can't you get it? And literally in the middle of responding to Kenya. Just her name, just that tone. The one that had made Vanessa straighten up even in her most rebellious years. Fine. Okay, guess. Kenya slouched out, phone still in hand. Mama Dot moved to the kitchen window, looking out at the garden Jerome had planted. His roses were blooming, deep red, the color of devotion. She'd watered them faithfully for 5 years, talking to them like he could hear. She'd then lost her mind, Jerome, she whispered to the roses. Our baby girl done truly lost her mind. Movement caught her eye. Through the window, she could see into the dining room. Vanessa was directing her team like a general, arms waving, voice carrying. No, the lighting has to hit my face at exactly 45. We've been over this. One of the influencers, a young man with bleached dreads, was filming everything, narrating into his camera. So, we're at Mama Dot's spot for her birthday, and let me tell you, Glenova is serving looks tonight. Mama Dot's hands curled into fists. Kenya reappeared, the purple folder dangling from 2 fingers like it might bite her. Here, can I go now? Thank you, baby. Mama Dot took the folder, her touch reverent. Kenya was already leaving when she paused in the doorway, distracted by something on her phone. Oh, sorry, Grandma. Oh my God, what? Mom's contract thing. She left her Google Drive open. Kenya's eyes were wide, scrolling. Grandma, did you know she signed a deal for like a reality show? Pikichin went very quiet. What kind of deal? Mama Dot's voice was soft, dangerous. Kenya read off her screen. It says exclusive rights agreement. Glen Nova and Sterling Family Brand. There's like a whole proposal thing. Following 4 generations of Black women building wealth from matriarch Dorothy Washington to entrepreneur Vanessa Sterling to Gen Z influencer Kenya Sterling. Let me see that. Kenya hesitated. I probably shouldn't. Kenya Elizabeth Sterling. The phone changed hands. Mama Dot Reed. Her face didn't change, but something cold and final settled in her chest. The docu-series will focus on the aspirational lifestyle of the Sterling family, with emphasis on luxury, entrepreneurship, and modern Black excellence. The matriarch Dorothy Washington will serve as the elder inspiration, but will not discuss past economic struggles, as focus groups indicate audiences prefer already successful narratives. Episode 1, The Birthday Launch. Vanessa Sterling will host her mother's 67th birthday party, introducing her brand, Glenova, to the family's social circle. Compensation: $250,000 advance against future earnings paid to Vanessa Sterling upon signing. All family members must sign NDA and exclusivity clause. Dorothy Washington's participation is required per family brand package. The date on the contract was 6 weeks ago. Mama Dot had never seen it, never been asked, never been told. Grandma, you okay? Kenya's voice sounded very far away. Mama Dot set the phone down carefully, precisely on the counter. Her hands weren't shaking. They should have been, but they weren't. Did your mama get a $4 million for this? She asked. I don't know. I guess. Kenya looked genuinely scared now. Grandma, I shouldn't have shown you. I didn't mean to. Hush, baby. This ain't your fault. Mama Dot's voice was eerily calm. Tell me something. This party tonight, all these people, all these cameras, did you know it was being filmed for TV? Kenya nodded miserably. And your mama told you not to tell me. Another nod. Mama Dot looked at her granddaughter, 16, lost, desperate for approval from anyone with a follower count. Looked at the dining room where her daughter was commodifying their family history for content. Looked at the pound cake cooling on the counter, the one nobody would eat because it didn't photograph well. She opened the purple folder. Inside were documents she'd prepared 3 years ago after Jerome died. After she'd realized that the daughter she'd raised had become someone she barely recognized. The legacy folder. The edges were worn from how many times she'd opened it late at night, wondering if she'd ever need to actually use it, praying she wouldn't, knowing she might. Kenya, baby, I need you to go back out there, Mama Dot said quietly. I need you to be sweet to your mama. Smile for the cameras. Do whatever she asks. But Grandma, can you do that for me? Kenya swallowed hard, nodded. Good girl. Now go on. Alone in the kitchen, Mama Dot pulled out her phone, an iPhone 14 that Vanessa had bought her last Christmas, saying, Mama, you can't still be using that old Galaxy. She opened her contacts, found the name she needed, attorney Elise Montgomery. They'd been friends for 30 years, met in a community college business course when they were both young mothers, working full-time and dreaming bigger. Elise had gone to law school. Mama Dot had climbed the hospital supply chain ladder. Both had succeeded beyond their wildest imaginings. The phone rang twice. Dorothy Washington, as I live and breathe. Alyssa's warm voice filled the line. Don't tell me you're calling to cancel on me. I already bought you a present. You still coming at 6? Wouldn't miss it, honey? Reverend Pat and I are riding together. Good. Mama Dot's voice was steady. Elise, I need you to bring your briefcase. The one with the estate documents. Silence on the other end. Then Dot, what's happening? I'm activating the protocol. The Dorothy. Are you sure? Once we do this, I'm sure. Another pause. Elise had known her long enough to hear everything Mama Dot wasn't saying. How bad? My daughter just sold our family story for a reality show without telling me. She's turning my birthday dinner into a product launch. And according to the contract I just read, I'm supposed to be the elder inspiration who keeps quiet about where we came from. Jesus, that's what I said. Mama Dot looked out the window again at Jerome's roses. She forgot Elise. She forgot that I was a cleaning lady. Forgot that Jerome drove a truck. Forgot that we ate tuna casserole for dinner 4 nights a week so we could save for her college. She forgot. And I'm going to remind her, Dot, if we execute this, there's no going back. I know she's your daughter, and that's exactly why I have to do this. Because I love her too much to let her keep becoming this person. From the dining room, Vanessa's voice rang out. Perfect. Now, let's rehearse my entrance one more time. Mama Dot made her decision. Bring the papers, Elise. All of them. And bring your notary stamp. I'll be there at 5:45. Dot. Yes. Jerome would be proud of you. The words hit harder than Mama Dot expected. She blinked back tears that had no business falling yet. I hope so, honey. Lord, I hope so. She hung up, stood in her kitchen, surrounded by the smell of pound cake and the sound of her daughter directing a photo shoot in what used to be a dining room. The grandfather clock chimed 4. 2 hours until the party. Mama Dot washed her hands slowly, methodically, dried them on Jerome's apron, walked to the downstairs bathroom, and looked at herself in the mirror. 67 years old, silver hair she'd stopped dyeing 5 years ago because Jerome had loved it. Face lined with laugh lines and worry lines, and the kind of lines that came from a lifetime of not backing down. Eyes that had seen poverty and triumph, marriage and widowhood, hope and heartbreak, eyes that weren't done yet. She pulled out her phone again, opened her banking app, looked at the account that still listed Vanessa as an authorized user, a decision she'd made 10 years ago, just in case of emergencies. Her checking account, her savings account, her investment portfolio, all accessible to her daughter with just a few clicks. Mama Dot began transferring funds, moving money, locking doors that had been left carelessly open. The grandfather clock chimed 4:30. In 90 minutes, this party would start. The cameras would roll. Vanessa would perform. And Mama Dot. Mama Dot was going to teach her daughter the most important lesson she had somehow failed to learn in 42 years. You don't build a legacy by selling out the people who built you. She saved the final transfer, closed her banking app, smoothed down her apron from the dining room. Mama, can you come here for a second? We need you for a test shot. My dad smiled. It was the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. The kind of smile that made grown men in boardrooms reconsider their strategies. The kind of smile that Jerome used to call her war face. Coming, baby, she called back, her voice sweet as pie. She was going to give Vanessa exactly what she asked for. A show, just not the one Vanessa expected. By 6 o'clock, Mama Dot's house had been transformed into something she no longer recognized. The dining room looked like a nightclub had collided with a makeup store. Rose gold balloons clustered in every corner, their metallic sheen catching the ring lights that blazed from professional tripods. A DJ, some kid who couldn't have been older than 25, was setting up equipment in the corner where Jerome's grandfather clock used to stand. They'd moved the clock. Moved it. That clock had been in that spot for 40 years. Mama Dot stood in the kitchen doorway, watching the invasion complete itself. Yo, 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 we're living 5, the DJ called out, testing his microphone. The bass from his speakers made the china cabinet rattle. Vanessa emerged from the powder room in a different outfit, the 4th one today. This dress was silver, skin-tight with cutouts that showed strategic glimpses of her toned stomach. Her makeup artist trailed behind her, touching up highlighter that already made Vanessa's cheekbones look sharp enough to cut glass. Mama, Vanessa spotted her, face lighting up. Oh my God, you're still in your house clothes? Tyler, where's the outfit I picked out for Mama? Tyler with a clipboard, skirt over with a garment bag. Baby, I got my own dress. Mama Dot said evenly. The burgundy one I showed you last week. That old thing. Vanessa wrinkled her nose. Mama, no. I got you something from Alok. Very elegant. Very age-appropriate. Age-appropriate. Mama Dot repeated the word slowly. You know what I mean? Classic, sophisticated. Vanessa unzipped the garment bag, revealing a beige dress that looked like it belonged in a retirement home brochure. See, perfect for photos. From the front door, voices erupted. Happy birthday, Sister Dorothy. Reverend Patricia Holloway swept in like a force of nature. All 6 feet of her wrapped in a purple suit and crowned with a church hat that could have had its own zip code. Behind her came the church ladies, 12 strong, dressed in their Sunday best. Even though it was Saturday, carrying Tupperware containers that undoubtedly held real food. Pat, Mama Dot felt something loosen in her chest. Real people, her people. They embraced, and Reverend Pat whispered in her ear, Elise is parking. She's got everything. Mama Dot nodded almost imperceptibly. Ladies, ladies. Vanessa intercepted them, all smiles and air kisses. Thank you so much for coming. If you could just set those dishes in the kitchen. We've got caterers handling food tonight. And then we've reserved seating for you right over there. She gestured vaguely toward the back corner near the kitchen door. The worst seats in the house. MC Claudette Rivers 72 and not having any of it. Raised one eyebrow. Reserved seating child. I've been coming to this house for 40 years. I'll sit where I please. Of course, of course. Vanessa laughed, but her smile was tight. I just meant for the camera angles. Don't care about your cameras, baby. Miss Claudette patted Vanessa's cheek with a grandmother's condescension. Where's the birthday girl? Dorothy, come give me some sugar. Mama Dot hugged her neighbor, breathing in the familiar scent of Pond's cold cream and peppermints. Miss Claudette had lived next door since before Vanessa was born, had brought over casseroles when Jerome died, had watered Mama Dot's roses when she was too grief-stricken to get out of bed. You all right, Dot? Miss Claudette whispered. This whole setup seems I know. Mama Dot whispered back. Just watch, and whatever happens, don't leave. Miss Claudette's eyes sharpened. She knew that tone. Lord have mercy. It's going to be one of those nights. The next hour was chaos, orchestrated by Vanessa's clipboard and volume. The influencers arrived in waves, 50 of them, just like Vanessa promised. Each one younger and more aggressively online than the last. They descended on the food table, sushi platters and vegan cauliflower bites, just as threatened. Like locusts, but they didn't eat much. Too busy filming themselves pretending to eat. Okay, so we're at this iconic event. One girl narrated into her phone, and the energy is literally immaculate. Mama Dot's actual guests, her church family, her former co-workers, her real friends, clustered in the kitchen and the back corners, separate, segregated in her own house. She watched it all from the staircase landing, invisible. Nobody looked for the birthday girl. They were too busy looking at themselves and their phone cameras. Attorney Elise Montgomery appeared at her elbow, briefcase in hand. She was elegant in a navy pantsuit, her silver locks swept up in an intricate style. I've got the documents, Elise murmured. Dot, last chance. Are you absolutely sure? Mama Dot looked down at the party at Vanessa holding court in the center, laughing too loud, gesturing too big, performing for an audience that was only half present. The other half of their attention stayed glued to their screens. Kenya was in the corner, desperately trying to get the perfect selfie with the backdrop, adjusting her angle over and over. Deacon, her 12-year-old grandson, sat on the couch playing games on his phone, ignoring everything. And Brandon, Vanessa's husband, was already drunk, swaying by the makeshift bar, loudly telling anyone who listened about his almost career in the NBA. I'm sure, Mama Dot said. They went to her office, the one room Vanessa's decorator hadn't violated. The door locked with a solid click. Mama Dot's office was small but powerful. Jerome's portrait hung above the desk, him at 50, smiling that smile that had made her fall in love with him at 19. The bookshelves held her MBA textbooks, supply chain management manuals, and financial planning guides she'd studied by flashlight after Vanessa went to bed. Elise laid out the documents on the desk. Let's start with the easy one, she said, pulling out a form. Credit card authorizations. Sign here and I'll file it electronically tonight. By midnight, all supplementary cards will be deactivated. Mama Dot signed. Her signature was steady. Next, the trust documents. You established the Jerome and Dorothy Washington Educational Trust in 2022, correct? 3 months after Jerome passed. The trust owns this house per the life estate deed. You have the right to occupy it until your death, at which point it transfers to the H.B.CU Scholarship Fund. But Elise paused, making sure Mama Dot was listening. Per Clause 7b, you also have the right to evict any occupants who violate the terms of residence, which are respect for the primary resident, that's you, an adherence to family values as outlined in the trust mission statement. Elise looked up. Dot, you wrote that mission statement yourself. This trust honors families built on sacrifice, respect, and intergenerational support. Mama Dot remembered. She'd written it at this very desk, crying because Jerome had made her promise to protect their legacy from being squandered. Vanessa's been living here for 6 months. Mama Dot said since her business started needing a better address for investor meetings. Has she paid rent? I didn't ask for any. She's my daughter. Did she sign a lease? No, Elise nodded. Then legally she's a guest and guests can be asked to leave. How fast? I can have eviction notices drawn up by Monday. Georgia law requires 30 days. But Elise pulled out another document. There's an emergency clause for properties held in charitable trust. If the occupant is engaging in behavior that damages the trust's mission, say exploiting the primary resident for commercial gain without consent, we can file for immediate eviction. How immediate? 72 hours. Mama Dot absorbed this. 3 days. Vanessa and her family gone in 3 days. There's one more thing, Elise said carefully. The financial investigation. This was the part that made Mama Dot's stomach hurt. 6 months ago, she'd noticed discrepancies in her retirement account. Small withdrawals, nothing major. $5,000 here, $8,000 there. She'd almost convinced herself it was bank errors until she'd checked the authorization logs and seen Vanessa's name. I had the forensic accountant finish the audit yesterday, Elise said, pulling out a thick folder. Dot, it's worse than we thought. The numbers swam in front of Mama Dot's eyes. $127,000. Vanessa had taken $127,000 from her mother's retirement account over 18 months. How? Mama Dot's voice cracked. You added her as an authorized user in 2019. Remember after Jerome died? You wanted someone who could access accounts in case of emergency. In case I had a stroke, not so she could fund her business. I know, honey. I know. Elisa's voice was gentle. There's more. She also took out a reverse mortgage on this house. That's impossible. The house is in the trust. She forged documents, used an old deed from before the trust transfer. The mortgage company didn't do proper due diligence, and she walked away with $95,000. Mama Dot sat down hard in Jerome's old desk chair. $22,200 total. Her daughter had stolen $222,000 from her. That's a felony, Elise said quietly. Elder financial exploitation in Georgia. It carries 5 to 20 years in prison. I'm not sending my daughter to jail. I'm not saying you should, but you need to know that if you wanted to press charges, you'd have every legal right. Downstairs, the bass from the DJ speakers thumped through the floorboards. Someone squealed. Laughter echoed. Mama Dot looked at Jerome's portrait. Remembered their last conversation in the hospital? Promise me, Dot, if she forgets who she is, you remind her. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. That's love. Draw up the eviction papers, Mama Dot said. File them Monday morning. And the criminal complaint? Not yet, but prepare it in case she tries to fight back dirty. Elise nodded, making notes. Anything else? Mama Dot pulled out her phone, opened her banking app one more time. There was one account left. The one that paid for Vanessa's car lease, Kenya's private school, the family's health insurance, even Brandon's golf club membership. All of it on autopay. All of it coming out of Mama Dot's accounts. She canceled every single recurring payment. That's everything. Mama Dot said. Execute the plan. Dot. Elise reached across the desk, took her friend's hand. You know she's going to be devastated. She should have thought about that before she decided to sell our story without asking. She might not forgive you. Then she understand exactly how I feel right now. They sat in silence for a moment. 30 years of friendship, and Elise knew better than to try to talk her out of it. All right, Elise finally said, packing up the documents. I'll file everything electronically tonight. By the time she wakes up tomorrow, the cards will be dead, the autopay canceled, and the eviction notice will be in the system. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're about to blow up your family. Mama corrected. Vanessa already did that. I'm just cleaning up the mess. A knock on the door made them both jump. Mama, Vanessa's voice irritated. What are you doing in there? We're about to cut the cake. Coming, baby? Mama Dog called back. She stood, smoothed down her burgundy dress, the one she'd worn despite Vanessa's protests. Checked her reflection in the window. She looked like herself. Finally. Showtime, Elise murmured. They descended the stairs together. The party was in full swing, though swing implied more joy than what Mama Dot witnessed. It looked more like a performance where everyone had forgotten they were supposed to be celebrating an actual person. The DJ cut the music. Yo, can I get everyone's attention, please? It's time for the birthday girl. Vanessa materialized next to Mama Dot, linking their arms together with a grip that was more possessive than affectionate. Smile, Mama. Camera's on you. Indeed, all 4 professional cameras swung toward them, plus 50 iPhones. They walked to the center of the room where Mama Dot's pound cake had been replaced by a 4-tier monstrosity covered in fondant and edible gold leaf. On top, a sugar sculpture of the Glow Nova logo. Happy birthday. Everyone shouted, but it felt performative, rehearsed. Vanessa took the microphone from the DJ. She was in her element now, glowing under the lights. First of all, I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight. This is such a special moment for me. I mean for us, I mean for my mama. Laughter from the crowd. 67 years ago, Dorothy Washington came into this world, and she has been an icon ever since. Mama Dot stood beside her daughter, smiling politely. She could see Miss Claudette in the back, arms folded, face skeptical. Reverend Pat watching with concern. My mother taught me everything about excellence, Vanessa continued, warming to her subject. She taught me that Black women don't ask for permission. We take what's ours. She taught me that success is the best revenge. And she taught me that when you've got it, you flaunt it. Mama Dot didn't remember teaching any of those things. She remembered teaching humility, hard work, and respect. But apparently those lessons hadn't landed. So tonight, I wanted to honor my mama by showing her what her legacy looks like in 2025. Mama, you built the foundation, and I'm building the empire. Vanessa gestured broadly at the party, at the influencers, at the cameras. This is what you worked for. This is your reward. Polite applause. Vanessa handed the microphone to Mama Dot. Mama, you want to say a few words? Finally, Mama Dot took the microphone, looked out at the crowd, divided so clearly into 2 groups. Her people in the back, confused and uncomfortable. Vanessa's people in the front, phones out, filming everything. She opened her mouth. Good evening, everyone, she began. Her voice was steady, warm. I want to thank y'all for coming tonight, especially my sisters from New Hope Baptist Church. She turned to gesture toward the church ladies. That's when Vanessa moved. Okay, Mama, that's sweet. Vanessa laughed, plucking the microphone from her mother's hand. The gesture was quick, practiced, casual, but to everyone watching, it was crystal clear what just happened. Vanessa had just silenced her own mother. We'll do the church stuff later, Vanessa said, her smile bright and terrible. Right now, I want to introduce you to the real guests of honor tonight, my Glow Nova angels. The influencers cheered, started chanting, Glow. Glow. Nova. Mama Dot stood there empty-handed in the center of her own party. She looked at Vanessa, really looked at her, and saw a stranger. Saw someone so drunk on likes and views and brand deals that she'd forgotten the most basic rule. You don't disrespect your mama, especially not at her own birthday party. Especially not on camera. From the back of the room, Miss Claudette's voice rang out. Oh, hell no. Reverend Pat put a hand on her arm, stopping her because they both saw what Mama Dot was doing. Nothing. Mama Dot simply smiled. It was a small smile, a dangerous smile. The kind of smile a woman wears when she's already 3 moves ahead in a chess game. Her opponent doesn't even know they're playing. She caught Alyssa's eye across the room. Elise nodded, understanding perfectly. Then came Brandon. Vanessa's husband stumbled forward, drink sloshing in his glass, emboldened by liquor and stupidity. Yeah, he shouted. Yeah, Mama Dot, just sit there and look pretty. This ain't your show no more. This is the young people's time. You had yours. The room went silent. Even the influencers stopped filming because every single person in that room knew that Brandon Sterling had just crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Mama Dot looked at him at her son-in-law, who'd been living rent-free in her house, eating her food, driving a car she helped pay for, smoothed her burgundy dress, and without a word, she set down the empty champagne glass someone had pressed into her hand earlier, smoothed her burgundy dress, and without a single word, walked out of the party. Behind her, she heard Vanessa's nervous laugh. She's probably tired, y'all. Old people need their rest, you know? Old people. Mama Dot climbed the stairs to her bedroom, locked the door, sat on the bed she'd shared with Jerome for 43 years, pulled out her phone, opened her email, and sent one message to Elise Montgomery. Execute everything now. Then she went to her window and looked down at the garden at Jerome's roses blooming in the moonlight. Baby, she whispered to his memory, I'm about to teach our daughter what you tried to tell her. This is going to hurt, but it's the only way she's going to learn. Downstairs, the party continued. The DJ started the music again. Vanessa was back in performance mode, laughing too loud, dancing too hard, trying to pretend nothing had happened. But Mama Dot knew better. Everything had happened. And by tomorrow morning, Vanessa Washington Sterling's whole world was going to come crashing down. Mama Dot changed into her nightgown, set her alarm for 6 a.m., and went to sleep with the kind of peace that only comes from knowing you're doing the right thing, even when the right thing feels like burning down everything you built. Tomorrow, the reckoning would begin. Sunday morning broke soft and golden over Savannah, the kind of morning that promised peace. Vanessa Sterling woke up with a mild hangover and a major glow. Last night had been perfect. Well, almost perfect. Mama had been weird, disappearing like that. But the content, chef's kiss. Her Instagram stories alone had pulled 847,000 views. 3 brand partnerships had already slid into her DMs with collaboration offers. She stretched in the guest bedroom. She and Brandon had been temporarily staying in Mama's house for 6 months now, reaching for her phone before her eyes were fully open. First thing every morning, check the analytics. But this morning, her feed looked different. At Trista blog had posted a video. The caption made her stomach drop. CEO tells her 6-7-year-old mother to shut up at her own birthday party. This is why Black families stay broken. 12.4 million views. Posted at 3 a.m. No. Vanessa sat up, clicking the video. It was the moment, the exact moment she'd taken the microphone from Mama Dot, and whoever edited it had isolated the audio, removed the party noise, so all you could hear was Vanessa's voice. We'll do the church stuff later. And then Brandon, drunk and stupid. Yeah, Mama Dot, just sit there and look pretty. This ain't your show no more. The comments were brutal. I would have beat her right there in front of everybody. 2.1 million likes. This is what happens when you raise kids with no home training. 1.8 million likes. Mama Dot deserves better. Vanessa deserves nothing. 3.2 million likes. Vanessa's hands shook. She scrolled through her notifications. Her follower count was dropping, not slowly, hemorrhaging, down 15,000 in the last hour alone. 3 emails from brand partners. We regret to inform you that we're moving in a different direction. She threw on clothes. Yesterday's designer tracksuit, now wrinkled, and headed downstairs. Brandon was snoring on the couch, still in his party clothes. Kenya and Deacon were blessedly still asleep. Coffee. She needed coffee and a damage control plan, but first retail therapy. She'd go to Soul Lux Spa, get a massage, clear her head, figure out how to spin this. She grabbed her purse, checked the mirror, even in crisis, lighting matters, and headed out. Good morning, Mrs. Sterling, the receptionist. A young white woman named Madison greeted her with the usual reverence. Your 9 o'clock Glow Nova celebration package is all set. Vanessa had booked the works. Caviar facial, $850. Lymphatic drainage massage, $400. A champagne brunch for herself and 3 influencer friends, $200 each. The total would be around $2,500. But whatever, self-care wasn't selfish. She sank into the waiting room chair, already feeling better. This was her sanctuary. Her Mrs. Sterling. Madison's voice had changed, uncertain now. I'm so sorry, but your card was declined. Vanessa laughed. That's impossible. Run it again. Madison disappeared. Returned, looking even more uncomfortable. I ran it 3 times. It says account closed by primary holder. The spot went quiet. Other customers looked over, curious. That doesn't make any sense. Vanessa pulled out her wallet, her fingers suddenly clumsy. Here, try this one. Madison tried the backup American Express, then the Visa, then the MasterCard. All declined, all with the same message. Account closed by primary holder. Primary holder. Mama Dot. Do you have another form of payment? Madison asked, her voice pitying now. Vanessa's phone buzzed, then buzzed again and again. A cascade of notifications all arriving at once, like they'd been queued up waiting for reception. JP Morgan Chase authorized user removed from account ending in 9847 American Express. Supplementary card privileges revoked effective 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wells Fargo overdraft protection canceled. Primary account holder request. Tesla lease services payment default detected. Vehicle immobilization pending. There were 47 emails, all sent between midnight and 1 a.m., all from companies informing her that Dorothy Washington had removed her access, canceled her privileges, revoked her authorizations. Mrs. Sterling, are you okay? Madison looked genuinely concerned now. Vanessa stood up so fast her chair tipped over. I have to go. She ran to the parking lot, fumbling for her car keys. Pressed the button to unlock her Tesla Model Y, the white one with the custom wheels, $78,000, paid for by, oh God, the car didn't respond. She pressed again, nothing, pulled out her phone, opened the Tesla app. A message filled the screen. Vehicle access suspended due to lease payment default. Account in arrears. $4,847. Contact Lesser Dorothy Washington Trust for a reinstatement. Dorothy Washington Trust. Vanessa started laughing. It came out wrong. Too high, too sharp. A woman loading groceries into her Lexus gave her a concerned look. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and called Mama. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. Mama, what the hell is going on? You need to call me back right now. My cards aren't working. My car is locked. And I know you did this. This isn't funny. Mama, I have a business to run. Call me back. She tried again, straight to voicemail this time. Then she called the house line. It rang and rang. Nobody picked up. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Kenya, her daughter. Mom. Kenya was crying. Mom, my Instagram ads account got suspended. They said payment failed and my Sephora order got canceled. What's happening? I don't know, baby. I don't. And Dad's freaking out because his golf club membership got revoked. Vanessa heard Brandon yelling in the background. That old underscore. I knew she was crazy. I told you not to mess with her. That old underscore, her mama. Vanessa stood in the Soul Lux Spa parking lot, locked out of her car, cut off from her money, watching her life implode via email notifications, and felt something she hadn't felt in years, fear. Vanessa woke to darkness. Complete darkness. The digital clock was dead. The phone charger wasn't working. The AC had stopped humming. Brandon. She shook her husband awake. Brandon, the power's out. He groaned, rolling over. Call the electric company. Vanessa grabbed her phone, 12% battery left, and dialed Georgia Power. The automated system was maddeningly cheerful. For questions about your account, press 1. To report an outage, press 2. She pressed 1. Please enter your account number. She didn't know the account number. She'd never paid the bill. Mama had. After 10 minutes of navigating menus, she finally reached a human. Georgia Power, this is Darnell. How can I help you? My power has been cut off. This is an emergency. I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. Can I get your account number? I don't have it. The address is 1247 Forsyth Park Boulevard. Typing sounds. Okay, I see that account. It shows, the account was closed by the account holder on Saturday night. Final bill was paid. Service disconnection was requested. That's impossible. I live here. Ma'am, the account holder was Dorothy Washington. She's listed as the property owner. And that's my mother. Okay. Well, you'll need to set up a new account in your name. We can get someone out there within 5 to 7 business days to 5 to 7 days. It's 94 outside. I understand, ma'am, but that's our current availability. Would you like to schedule an appointment? Vanessa hung up. Tried to call Mama again, straight to voicemail. By noon, the house was sweltering. Savannah in September was no joke. The heat pressed down like a living thing, thick and wet. Kenya was crying in her room, phone dead, unable to charge it. Deacon had already walked to the public library to use their Wi-Fi and a C. At 3:00 p.m., the water stopped. Brandon discovered this while trying to flush the toilet. Vanessa. They stared at the toilet like it was a bomb. What do you do when there's no water? Brandon asked. Neither of them knew. Vanessa had an investor meeting downtown, a meeting that could save Glow Nova, a meeting she absolutely could not miss. She'd called an Uber on what little credit she had left on her personal card. The driver pulled up and she climbed in. Hey, aren't you that Glow Nova lady? He asked, looking at her in the rearview mirror. Yes, she tried to smile. Yo, that video of you at your mama's party, that went crazy viral. I know, man. My mama would have knocked me into next week if I pulled something like that. He laughed. You got some nerve. I'll give you that. The 15-minute drive felt like 15 hours. The investor meeting was a disaster. The VCS had seen the video. One of them even brought it up. Miss Sterling, we're concerned about brand alignment. Our fund focuses on family values and this recent publicity. Glen Nova lost a potential $500,000 investment. When Vanessa got home in another Uber she couldn't afford, there was a notice on the door. Notice of eviction proceedings. Her vision blurred. She read it 3 times before the words made sense. The property was owned by the Jerome and Dorothy Washington Educational Trust. Vanessa and her family were occupants without a formal lease. Per the terms of the trust, they were being evicted for violation of residence terms, specifically exploitation of the primary resident for commercial gain without consent. They had 30 days. Vanessa crumpled the notice in her fist. 30 days. Brandon found her crying on the kitchen floor at 2 a.m. "Baby, we got to do something," he said. His breath smelled like the vodka he'd been secretly drinking. "We can't just let her throw us out. What am I supposed to do?" Vanessa sobbed. "She won't answer my calls. She won't talk to me." Brandon was quiet for a minute. "Then what if we say she's not mentally fit?" Vanessa looked up. "What? Think about it. She's 67. We could call Adult Protective Services, say she's showing signs of dementia, confusion, erratic behavior, financial decisions that don't make sense." He was warming to the idea. "We get her declared incompetent. We get conservatorship, and then we control everything." It was evil. It was wrong. It was also tempting. "Brandon, I can't do that to my mama. Your mama just threw you out of her house. Cut off all your money. She's trying to destroy you, Vanessa." He gripped her shoulders. "This is self-defense." Vanessa thought about her business collapsing, about Kenya crying because she'd have to leave her private school, about Deacon working at McDonald's at 12 years old because they couldn't afford anything else. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." They called Adult Protective Services at 9 a.m. "Yes. Hello. I need to report a vulnerable adult. My mother, Dorothy Washington, she's 67 and showing signs of severe mental decline." By 11 a.m., a social worker named Brenda Cole was at Mama Dot's door. Vanessa and Brandon watched from across the street, hidden in Brandon's cousin's car. The visit lasted 20 minutes. When Miss Cole left, she did not look sympathetic. An hour later, Vanessa got a call from an unknown number. "Mrs. Sterling. This is Brenda Cole from APPS. I need to inform you that filing a false report of elder abuse is a criminal offense in Georgia, punishable by up to 12 months in jail and a $1,000 fine." Vanessa's blood turned to ice. "I what?" "Your mother presented medical documentation from Emory University Hospital dated 2 days ago. Comprehensive cognitive testing, MMSE score 30 out of 30. Perfect. She also showed me recent financial documents proving complex decision ability, including a $500,000 charitable donation she made last week. But she also showed me a video recording of you and your husband discussing this plan. Apparently, she installed security cameras after the birthday party for her protection." "Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Mrs. Sterling, I'm going to give you a warning this time, but if you contact APPS again with false claims, I will refer your case to the district attorney. Do you understand?" "Yes," Vanessa whispered. "Your mother also asked me to tell you something. She said, tell my daughter that when you dig a hole for someone else, make sure it's not your own grave." The line went dead. Vanessa looked at Brandon. She knew. She knew we were going to do this before we even did it. "How's that possible?" "Because," Vanessa said, realization dawning cold and terrible, "Mama's been playing chess while we've been playing checkers. She's been 3 steps ahead this whole time." By the end of week 2, Vanessa's business was circling the drain. Her warehouse had locked her out for non-payment of rent, $8,000 overdue. Her Chinese manufacturer was holding 10,000 units of product hostage until she paid the invoice, $47,000. Her 3 employees had quit after 2 missed paychecks. She'd been so busy trying to save Glen Nova that she hadn't noticed what was happening with Brandon until the men showed up. They came on a Tuesday afternoon. 2 of them, large, professional, The kind of men who collected debts for a living. We're looking for Brandon Sterling, the first one said pleasantly. He's not here, Vanessa lied. Tell him Tony says hello and tell him he's got 72 hours to come up with $65,000 or we start taking assets. Nice house, by the way. Would be a shame if something happened to it. They left. When Brandon got home from where Vanessa no longer knew, she was waiting. Who the underscore is Tony. Brandon's face went gray. Baby, I can explain. $65,000. It all came out. The sports betting, the poker games, the sure thing bets that weren't sure at all. He'd been gambling for 2 years, convinced he was about to hit it big. He'd already pawned Vanessa's wedding ring, had taken out a title loan on his truck, had even forged Mama Dot's signature to buy a vintage car, $40,000, that he'd immediately sold for half that to cover previous losses. You've been stealing from my mother, too. Vanessa couldn't breathe. I was going to pay her back. I just needed one good win. She looked at her husband, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. Saw a Monchield who'd been riding her coattails, spending her money, well, Mama's money, and gambling away their future. Get out, she said quietly. Baby, get out. Brandon left, took a duffel bag, and disappeared. Later that night, Vanessa heard crying from Deacon's room. She found her 12-year-old son sitting on the floor counting change. Baby, what are you doing? Trying to figure out if I have enough for the science textbook. The school says if I don't get it by Friday, I'll fail the class. He had $17.34 in coins. The textbook cost $89. Vanessa sat down next to her son on the floor of a house that wasn't hers anymore in a life that was falling apart and finally understood what Mama Dot had been trying to teach her. You can't build an empire on someone else's foundation and expect it to stand when that foundation gets taken away. Knock, knock. Vanessa woke up in a cold sweat. She knew that knock. Official final. She pulled on a robe and went downstairs. Officer Tyrell Johnson stood on the porch in full uniform. Behind him were 2 more officers. Next to him was a woman in a sharp navy pantsuit. Attorney Elise Montgomery, Mrs. Sterling, Officer Johnson said formally, I have a court order for immediate eviction from this property. Immediate. The notice said 30 days. Elise stepped forward. The trust filed an emergency motion based on new evidence. The judge granted immediate eviction yesterday. What evidence? Financial exploitation of an elderly person? Fraud, forgery. Alyssa's voice was clinical. Your mother has documentation that you've been stealing from her accounts for 18 months. That's elder financial abuse, Mrs. Sterling. A felony in Georgia. The world tilted. You have 2 hours to gather personal belongings. Officer Johnson continued, only what you can carry. No furniture, no electronics that were purchased with Mrs. Washington's funds. Essentially clothing and personal items only. Where's my mama? Vanessa's voice cracked. Where is she? As if summoned, Mama Dot appeared on the 2nd floor balcony. She was dressed in a stunning Ancora print dress, yellow and gold, the colors of African royalty. Her silver hair was styled elegantly. She wore the pearl necklace Jerome had given her on their 20th anniversary. She looked down at her daughter like a queen surveying a disgraced subject. Mama, Vanessa whispered. Mama, please. Mrs. Sterling, Elise said, I'm required to inform you that criminal charges are being considered. The evidence shows you withdrew $127,000 from your mother's retirement accounts without authorization. You also forged documents to obtain a $95,000 reverse mortgage on this property. $222,000. The number hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Under Georgia law, Elise continued, elder financial exploitation carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years in state prison. Your mother has the option to press charges. Kenya emerged from upstairs crying. Deacon behind her, face blank with shock. Grandma. Kenya called up to the balcony. Grandma, please don't make us leave. We're sorry. Mom, sorry. Right, Mom? Vanessa couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Mama Dot finally spoke, her voice carrying clear and strong. Vanessa, you wanted to be a CEO. You wanted independence. You wanted to build an empire. She paused. Well, baby CEOs handle their own business. Independent people pay their own bills. And empires, they're built on solid ground, not stolen money. I was going to pay you back. Vanessa sobbed. The business was supposed to. Mama Dot's voice hardened. But it didn't because you built a house on sand, and sand can't hold nothing. You're really going to let them put me on the street? Your own daughter? You're... Ground. And now I'm watching the first green shoots grow. Kenya called me yesterday. She cooked collarded greens for her school's cultural day. She said they tasted like home. Deacon wants to study engineering. Said he wants to build affordable housing for elders. Like Grandma taught me, build foundations. Vanessa's still struggling. But struggle is the crucible. That's where real strength gets forged. I'm not the villain in this story, Jerome. I'm the gardener. I pulled the weeds so the roses could bloom. I miss you every day, but I'm not done yet. Not even close. Your Dot, her phone rang. Elise, Dot. Vanessa just paid back another. 5,000. She's up to 10,000 total. That's progress. She wants to meet when you get back. Says she has something to show you. Tell her I'll be home in a week and tell her to bring collarded greens. Mama Dot hung up and ordered another coffee. Real French coffee. Bitter and strong and perfect. Just like life. 3 months later, Thanksgiving. The dining room table was set the old way. Lenox china hand-embroidered tablecloth. Magnolia centerpiece. 24 place settings. Mama Dot sat at the head of the table, surveying her kingdom. To her right, Vanessa, looking thinner but stronger, wearing a simple dress instead of designer labels. To her left, Kenya and Deacon, both in church clothes. Brandon was absent. He and Vanessa were legally separated. He was in rehab for gambling addiction. Maybe he'd come back different. Maybe not. Around the table, Reverend Pat, Miss Claudette, Elise, Officer Tyrell, and his family. The church ladies. Vanessa's former co-workers from the warehouse who'd become real friends. And the food fried chicken made by Vanessa, finally using Mama Dot's recipe. Collarded greens, also Vanessa, not perfect but honest. Mac and cheese. Mama Dot couldn't let go of everything. Sweet potato pie. Kenya's first attempt. Lumpy but made with love. Cornbread. Deacon. Surprisingly good. Before they ate, Vanessa stood. Mama, I wanted to say something. Mama Dot nodded. These last 3 months were the hardest of my life. I lost my business, lost my husband, lost my pride. Vanessa's voice shook. But I found something more important. I found my purpose. She pulled out a folder. I'm starting a new business. Not beauty. Financial literacy. Teaching young Black women what you tried to teach me. How to build wealth, not just income. How to budget. How to invest. How to protect themselves from making the mistakes I made. She opened the folder to show a logo. Dorothy's Daughters Financial Literacy Program. I'm calling it Dorothy's Daughters because even when you kicked me out, you were still teaching me, and now I want to teach others. Mama Dot's eyes filled with tears. It's nonprofit, Vanessa continued. I'm not taking a salary for the first year. I'm working at the warehouse, still saving money, but I've got 3 churches interested in hosting workshops. And she smiled. Kenya's going to run the social media. Real stories, real financial journeys, no filters. Kenya stood up. Grandma, I know I was all about influencing before, but now I want to influence people to make better choices. Show them that struggle isn't shameful. It's how you grow. Deacon raised his hand like he was in class. And I'm going to create a budgeting app for kids so they learn young. Mama Dot looked at her family. Broken, rebuilding, real baby, she said to Vanessa. That's the first time you've used my name for something that matters. They hugged. Really hugged. For the first time in months. I'm still paying you back. Vanessa whispered every dollar. I know you will, but take your time. Focus on building something real first. Reverend Pat called for grace. They held hands around the table, all 24 of them. And Mama Dot prayed, Lord, thank you for this food. Thank you for this family. Thank you for second chances and hard lessons and the kind of love that's strong enough to break before it bends. Thank you for teaching me that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them fall so they can learn to stand. Amen, amen. After dinner, Mama Dot found Vanessa in the kitchen washing dishes. You know we have a dishwasher, right? Mama Dot asked. I know, but this feels right. Doing it by hand. Vanessa scrubbed a plate. Mama, can I ask you something? Always. When did you know? When did you know you had to do what you did? Mama Dot was quiet for a moment. When you took that microphone out of my hand. Not because it hurt my feelings, though it did, but because I saw you'd forgotten the most basic thing, respect. And if you couldn't respect me, you weren't going to respect yourself or your kids or your legacy. I get it now, do you? Yeah, Vanessa rinsed the plate. Love isn't soft. Love is steel wrapped in silk. You loved me enough to let me hit bottom so I could climb back up the right way. Mama Dot smiled. Your daddy used to say that steel wrapped in silk. I miss him. Me too, baby. Every day they washed dishes in comfortable silence. Outside, Kenya was teaching Miss Claudette how to use Instagram. Deacon was showing Officer Tyrell his app prototype. Reverend Pat was telling stories that made everyone laugh. Through the kitchen window, Mama Dot could see Jerome's roses still blooming in November, defying the season, refusing to quit just like her. Mama, Vanessa dried her hands. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. Baby, I'm your mama. That ain't in my nature. She pulled Vanessa close, breathing in her daughter's hair, smelling like the coconut oil she used now instead of expensive salon products. Smelling like home. Now, Mama Dot said, pulling back. You said those collard greens were made with smoked turkey neck? Yes, ma'am. Not ham hock. Turkey neck, just like you taught me. Mama Dot smiled. Then you're learning slowly, but you're learning. From the dining room, Reverend Pat called out, Dorothy, come tell us about Paris. Mama Dot walked into the dining room, surrounded by people who loved her. Not for her money, not for what she could do for them, but for who she was. She sat down in Jerome's old chair at the head of the table and began to tell her story.